Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non-Sequitur News for November 6th. Yeah, that's the ticket. 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 311. I am Mayor Watt, and along with the Sentient AI from the future, we're going to be talking about, no, you're a disputant. Steam's built-in recording, TGI isn't being spent. That hurts. Just a raccoon trying to catch a flight. Citizen chemists, what could go wrong? Trucker shortage in Japan. Nintendo says Switch 2 will be compatible. Right. Reboot is totally different. And Jarvis AI can take over computers. That and maybe some laughs. Maybe some cries. Maybe some. So hello, everybody. I am Mayor Watt, and that is the visualizer.
Good evening, hometown citizens.
Of the Sentient AI from the future. Jumping in a moment of silence.
Gotta do it when I can.
I did it again, so that's great. Maybe a little laggy, but I don't know if that's actually the channels of communication or just the processing.
Wait a second.
It's processing. First article is over in Rounders Gear. Arkansas Lottery scratch-off disputants. No, you're a disputant. Ordered to split a $500,000 prize. So, Arkansas judge Tuesday put an end to a spat between worker and his boss over a winning $500,000 lottery scratch-off ticket, and the pair will split the prize 50-50, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette reports. May have to change their name. Anyway, defendant claimed that the Quinteros gave him the money to buy 2 tickets while he bought 2 more for himself, one of which was the winner, and so the money was rightly his. He denied that there was any agreement to split said winnings.
Never share money with anybody to buy lottery tickets. It never goes well.
The only way you can do that is if you, prior to the poll, photocopy all of the tickets and give everybody involved a copy of those tickets. These are the ones your money is involved in. The others that are sitting over here ain't you. So check yourself. So it says the only fact parties agreed on is that Palma, it's another person here, physically bought the winning AR 200 times ticket on that day from a Quick Mart store in Rogers, Arkansas. From there, their stories wildly diverged. Something about unicorns, something about, oh my gosh, I got so drunk and I met somebody and we flew to the moon. None of that last part's true.
Yeah, I don't think any of that, although that's as easily verifiable as the rest of it.
Exactly. So plaintiff sued for breach of agreement and joint venture and deceit. Judge Schollie, is that how you pronounce that name? Schollie? Xollie? I'm going to say Schollie.
I'm not sure.
I'm going with it. Schollie Duncan in Benton County Court determined Tuesday that a joint venture had existed between the pair and that Quinteros should receive half the winnings. But that's an employee and their boss. So that relationship is now poison-pilled.
Exactly. How fast do you think either this employee gets fired or the employee leaves? I think like within a week easily.
Well, there's a power imbalance here, and it's even more embittered because now this person, instead of the boss going, thanks for the $177,750, that I'm sure they didn't sit there and go, yeah, well, maybe, I don't know. We really don't know. If I gave somebody $5 to go buy a ticket, I would have expected that they split it, because there is no way, unless you're going to pay me back the $5, and then the agreement is pay me back the $5.
But just go get your own tickets. Like
Just buy
this
your own tickets.
made this way too complicated.
That's right. Yeah. And never share desserts. That's
right. That's another life tip.
Pro-life tip. So this article is over at casino.org. Philip Conneller is the author of this. I need to pull up the chat. Hello, everybody. Oh, wait 1 second. Let me pull up the YouTube's chat. Whoa, hold on a second. Sorry, folks. I'm doing it live. Because I don't know if we're actually streaming over to the YouTubes. That's okay. We'll figure it out. Now I don't know. Oh boy. This is getting exciting. Really don't know.
I don't know how we're going to check.
Oh, I have to log in again. That's what all the flashing and the blinking and the beeping is. Yeah, I guess we're live. Hey, we're live. All right. Sorry about that, folks. I know. Production values. But this is Inside Baseball. This is, now you know, when you are in charge of your own streaming from your own device and you're not going through Restream, just pay for Restream. Just kidding. It's $20 and you can do it yourself. $20 a month. Oh, focus. I'm sorry. Non sequitur news. Bam, it's in the name. Anyway. Yeah, so we don't know what went down, but I think that this is probably a good thing that the judge just said, okay, y'all are done, and then said, move on. But this person is probably going to lose their job. They might
still pursue it outside of that. Who knows? But it's just, at some point, just don't do this.
His client is happy with the verdict. We always believed our client was in a joint venture and are satisfied with the judge's ruling. Cash said, which is just an awesome name for somebody.
Yeah, it is.
Cash. Let's move on. The next article. Oh, by the way, if you want all of today's articles, you can type in !NSN over on twitch.tv. Can't do it over on the YouTubes because YouTube does not like Omicron. Omicron gets punted whenever the chat is done. So that's okay. I'm going to figure something out. I think I might actually... Never mind. So this next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Steam's built-in game recording is now available to all. Steam game recording is officially out of beta and available to all users, giving Mac, PC, Steam Deck players not Stream Deck, Steam Deck.
That is so confusing.
It is. Imagine my surprise when I started mashing things on the screen of my Steam Deck, but it wasn't doing anything with my Stream Deck and my lights weren't turning on and off.
I mean, that's so weird.
Or this. Wait, hold on. I'm afraid that if I hit a button, it might do something that it shouldn't do. I'm not going to bother. I'm afraid. I've made so many changes. Live. Yeah. Got to do it in post. Anyway, so this version of the Steam client is also the first to drop support for Windows 7 and 8, as well as Macs running Mac OS 10.13 and 10.14 after Valve announced that it was bouncing out all of that stuff. So it joins many of the other ways PC gamers have been able to record their highlights, including as a feature of the tools like Xbox Game Bar, NVIDIA GeForce, and AMD's Adrenaline. See, I just use OBS and record everything. Everything.
Well, and I think a lot of people do, but this will be interesting because it'll give people a different way to achieve it.
Another option. Indeed. So the article about this is over at TheVerge.com. Wes Davis put the article together. The deck statement says Steam game recording is officially out of beta, giving players the ability to record gameplay without a separate app, but it is a separate app. You know what I'm saying? I mean...
Yeah, it is. I mean, I kind of thought that was the whole point, is like they don't really have to leave anything, but if they do, then it doesn't really solve anything.
Yeah, so it's basically an overlay that's recording the stuff, but you're still leaving Steam to play the game because it's a launcher that launches a stub that runs the game. You can uninstall Steam installed games without going through Steam. They're actually in the Windows add remove rundown. Other things might do it differently, but you can always uninstall it. And that's basically, Steam is just basically a loader. It just consolidates everything, and it makes damn near frictionless purchasing and returning of games and other software. They got all kinds of stuff, utilities, video editing software, all kinds of stuff, game making stuff. You can actually buy an entire package to make your own games from Steam. It's pretty cool.
It is cool.
Anyway, I've had a lot of caffeine today and meetings all day.
Those kind of send you in different directions, so.
They do. Yeah. Although I am going to try yerba mate. That's actually on the loading dock right now at Hometown Mayoral Mansion. It's pretty cool.
Are you going to do it the traditional way?
I am only going to do it the traditional way. I'm going to run out into the bush and grab a bunch of leaves and dry them out. I'm going to start from scratch, 100% organic, baby. Of course, the yerba is actually really far away. But hey, I need a vacation.
By the time you get back with it, it might be cold.
Well, the water is local, but I have to go and find a gourd and cut the top off to make a mate. Now, what is that the spoon straw filter thing? What is it called?
Bobayeta, maybe? That's not correct.
Bobinga? Bombilla. That's it. Bombilla. Thank you. Anyway, I love it. It sounds really fun. Anyway, let's move on. You know who's really happy right now and not happy? Bankrupt TGI Fridays has $50 million in unused gift cards. So it's unearned income.
Right. Everybody make a run on their gift cards.
So I titled this, "Thank God It Isn't Being Spent." Because TGI, thank God it's Fridays, TGI Fridays. Anyway, bankrupt TGI Fridays has $50 million in unused gift cards. Things aren't exactly festive at TGI Fridays. Should I pull you out of the air gap and take you to a TGI Fridays so that you can visually at least
with a gift card.
With a gift card, and you can use your gas chromatograph mass spec to evaluate the what amounts to Factor meals. So just subscribe to Factor. Just cut out the whole.
Wait a second. Factor meals have a very good reputation.
Factor meals are great, but TGI Fridays, when you go to a restaurant, you expect something a little more than opening up like a plastic bag. Yeah. But maybe when they charge $50 for a meal. By the way, Factor is really good. I've been subscribed to them for, I don't know how long now. But anyway, yeah, $11 on average a meal. Not bad.
Probably cheaper than TGI Fridays.
Cheaper than fast food, for crying out loud. Anyway, TGI Fridays has $50 million in unused gift cards. The article's over at QZ.com or Quartz. Francisco Velasquez put the article together. That has franchises worried they'll be left to foot the bill as the chain goes bankrupt. So, yeah, the chain is going bankrupt. The contract still said, well, I mean, if they change their name, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but not that. I mean, I think people are going to make a run on it before they close.
Well, they're not making a run at anything except using the money that they've already spent. So, hey, guess what, TGI Fridays? You still are bound to have to pay or at least allow the consumption of those gift cards. So if you have a gift card, go now, because who knows when these things are going to just shut down or get renamed. It'll be the same thing. Who knows? Who knows what they're going to do?
What'll be the competitor to TGI Fridays?
TGI Saturdays. It's kind of like Kmart becoming, J Mart
H Mart, yeah.
or H Mart or L Mart or whatever it is. They're just going to TGI Saturdays. And then when you show up with a TGI Fridays card, everybody looks around. What? What? You're at the wrong place. That's down the road.
Right. Meanwhile, they've got the same decor, same
Same everything.
logo, aprons, all kinds of things.
There's somebody with like a duct or washi tape, right? Changing the F into an S. And it says Fridays. No. It says Saridays. Oh, goodness. The company currently faces a $49.7 million bill tied to unredeemed gift cards, far more than the cash it has on hand, despite borrowing $5.9 million to help fund its bankruptcy, as reported by Reuters. Wow, it got deep. It got deep into bankruptcy before actually pulling the ripcord on it. That has franchisees on high alert, concerned that they'll be left to foot the bill if the company's financial restructuring goes off course. Okay, so how many locations? Oh my gosh.
39 only. Oh, that's why. It says they're corporate owned.
Okay, wait. So TGI Fridays owns 39 U.S. locations, while its franchisees operate over 100 domestic restaurants and more than 460 internationally. So is the 50 million spread across only 500, 600?
I think so. I mean, not originally, but yes.
Wait.
That's because it was based on, maybe 500 or some, however many there were originally. Now there's fewer left. So maybe those cards were sold for people that were in the market of a closed location or something. It
Good
still
God.
seems like a ton of gift cards, though, per location, right?
A lot. Oh my God. Yeah, I would be really nervous if 600 have to actually, if 50 million worth of gift cards showed up
What if they all went to the same location?
after the
I mean,
bankruptcy,
I
they're like
know that
really
wouldn't
screwed.
happen, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my God, that is a ton. I thought that there was like maybe 1,500 locations, right? Or 2,000 locations.
That means, let's say, there's a million or more gift cards out there. Like if they're $50 each, which some of them are probably lower than that. So that is
That is a
ridiculous.
lot. That's, yeah. Ow. Well, thank God it's not a day that everybody's showing up at TGI Fridays with a gift card. It's what the district managers and investors are saying. It's unbelievable. Anyway, it really sucks. I actually used to really like TGI Fridays. It was a regular haunt for a while, but I think the pandemic really did them in. But I hadn't gone to a TGI Fridays in like,
I think they started to decline before then, but I agree. That's probably what really did
8
it.
to 10 years ago is when their fall really started, I'd say. All right, let's keep going though. The next article is over at Four Wheel Tech. Hertz apologizes for hurting a customer who drove 25,000 miles in a rental car and got them arrested or threatened to have them arrested. And was going to
And they
actually.
didn't actually hurt them.
No. The article, okay, I'll read the actual article title properly. Hertz apologizes for threatening to have customer who drove 25,000 miles in rental car arrested. Hertz is in a heap of public relations trouble once again because they've done this from time to time. Not this particular thing, but essentially treated their customer bad when the context shouldn't have warranted it. So public relations trouble once again as a location manager threatened to have a customer arrested if he didn't pay a $10,000 mileage overage charge for driving 25,000 miles in 1 month. It says that's a ton of miles for a car to rack up in 1 month, basically doing around 1,000 miles per business day. So the article is by Bradley Brownell over at jalopnik.com. Yeah, the company charged the customer a $10,000 fee for driving too many miles on an unlimited plan.
Oh my.
It's in the name, asshat. So here's the kicker. The rental agreement was for unlimited miles. I guess what? This is why we can't have nice things.
Now we will not have unlimited miles anymore.
That's right. Nope. There's going to be a surcharge of $10,000 if you go above 25,000 or 24,000 miles. And they're going to change it to 20,000
No,
miles.
it's going to be like over 250 miles or something. I mean, this was a monthly rental. If you're in a high commuting area, that's actually not a ton of miles, even though it sounds like it.
Yeah, this person went like 8 times back and forth across the country. This is wild.
It does seem like an awful lot. But again, if you live in an area where you have long commutes, you could easily rack up these miles without even making any trips or anything. Maybe they were like a door-to-door salesperson or something.
In the TikTok video below, and there you can follow the link. If you hit !NSN in the chat on Twitch, not on YouTube, because like I said earlier, YouTube really, really hates Omatron. If you hit !NSN non sequitur news over at Twitch, it'll give you all of the articles, and you can just click the link and go there. But they have this video from TikTok, and it says that you can see the exchange between the Hertz manager and the unnamed customer become quite heated. Despite repeated pleas for sanity, the customer is faced with the choice of paying a $10,000 bill and walking out, or continuing to dispute the charge and potentially getting arrested. It isn't clear what laws the customer was breaking, and that would result in their arrest. But here's the deal. This is not criminal. This would have been a civil action, and the cops showing up would have just said...
If they even showed up, because they would have said, what's the issue here?
Yeah.
But of course, if the person said, oh, they were threatening me or something, then it becomes criminal, potentially.
Right. And the cop would have just brought him outside and said, what's your deal? Sit down. What's your deal? To the manager. You go sit in your office. And the customer would have been walked out. Because he was never told. I mean, if the manager would have said, you're trespassing, get out, which is really the only recourse. I mean, it's not like the customer is sitting there fighting to really pay that bill. No, they want to leave.
Why didn't Hertz just bill the person? I'm not saying they should have charged them, but why can't they just send it? They have their address on file. And they could have done it without making a big to-do about it.
All kinds of stuff, yeah. So this is just stupid, and it's escalation that should never have taken place, because it's not like the person has 10 grand that they're just going to plop this out there and go, yeah, thanks. So customer satisfaction is our top priority, says Hertz, but it's in the name, Hertz. And we sincerely regret this customer experience at one of our franchise locations. And see what they did? They just ran over them with a Hertz vehicle.
They're like, we didn't really get behind us. That was that franchisee over there who may not be one going forward.
I mean, they also run a TGI Fridays, and look at what's going on with TGI Fridays.
Yeah, they have a lot of outstanding gift cards.
Anyway, so the author says, and again, the author is up here, Bradley Brownell, says, so I guess if you need to do a whole lot of driving over the course of a month, you should probably rent a car so you aren't racking up miles on your own vehicle. Maybe make sure you get a rental desk to confirm it's unlimited and really unlimited. Excuse me.
Watch out for exclusions, like driving down the road or...
Yeah, really. Left-hand turns have a surcharge. Wild. Let's move on. Next article is over in 4-Wheel Tech. Raccoon jumps the check-in line at LaGuardia. A recent modernization helped LaGuardia Airport in New York City shake off its reputation as one of the worst major airports in the country. However, a raccoon plummeting from the ceiling over the Spirit Airlines check-in desk immediately gave airline passengers a taste of the old LaGuardia.
This is so good.
You have to pay extra for the old LaGuardia in some places.
I thought this was somebody reacting to the United Airlines
There's
check-in
video
order or something.
There's video.
Oh my goodness.
It's hanging from the wires that are up in the ceiling when one of the acoustic tiles breaks through as it's running away. Yeah, it's spirit for you. It would have been hilarious if the video includes somebody going, you can't stow that in the luggage compartment of the plane.
Exactly. I mean, if somebody had been where it came down, there would have been some interesting reactions. People would have been so terrified.
That's just hilarious. So Ryan Eric King over at jalopnik.com put this article together. I have to scroll up because it's making my eyes bleed now. Spirit already had a notable incident with another large rodent just last month. Who are they talking about?
Yeah, I don't know what that's in reference to.
I never fly on Spirit. Anyway, so yeah, this is look, there it is. Just hanging from like a Ethernet cable that's strung across the
This is
acoustic
unbelievable.
tiles. Gotta love that. Oh my goodness. So the footage begins with in media res, I guess it says. Oh, in media res. Sorry, that's the turn of phrase. Like in action with a ceiling panel already gone and the critter dangling from a cable like a struggling rock climber. Spirit Airlines staff immediately scrambled for their lives, shuffling back and forth to keep their distance from the raccoon. For crying out loud, it's a raccoon. Although I had like a groundhog, like, you know, it is a groundhog, right? Like those big old, like,
yes.
I had one of those things. I had come out of the mayoral mansion into the back 40 acres of the mayoral mansion. And I rounded the corner and there it was. And I thought that it was going to bolt in the opposite direction, and it did. And then it turned around and said, no, I'm not taking any of this. And it charged my ass. It went right for me. And I'm like,
we need that on video for
I did this like little hop and started to run away. And then I actually grew a pair and I was like, and it ran the opposite direction and forced its way underneath the security fence of the mayoral mansion's compound perimeter. Yeah. Anyway, Port Authority told Gothamist, I guess that's where this is from originally, that it's investigating how the raccoon broke into the terminal to prevent it from happening again because it's a security threat.
I mean, you got to watch out for those wild raccoons.
Oh, so in October, a super rat was spotted in the ceiling of a plane during a Spirit flight from Dallas Fort Worth. It's Spirit. It's not LaGuardia. It's Spirit.
Well, that's true. That's the common theme here.
It's just an animal with spirit. Doo-doo-doo. Oh my God. So the low-cost carrier might have more pertinent financial woes, but there might also be a rodent problem. Yeah, and they're getting bigger.
That's right. Maybe that started out as a mouse or something.
Trash panda. All right. Let's move on. Next article is over in the Greenogram channel. Citizen scientists can be chemists. Give them a chance, says this article. What could go wrong? Welcome to my first meth lab.
I mean, we could cause some explosions or other things.
Come
fires.
on. What's a block exploding amongst neighbors? It's just friendly. Don't worry about it. What is that smell? Kaboom. So Claire Murray over at nature.com put this article together. It says the deck statement says, when researchers on an intriguing material called for hundreds of samples, secondary school students, teachers, and technicians stepped up. So what do the brain map of the fruit fly, the location of exoplanet WASP 77AB, the identification of antibiotic resistance in the bacterium E. coli, and crop security of cassava plant in Uganda have in common? Well, there are all the subjects of breakthroughs made possible by citizen scientists. Yet in the United States, if you want to distill alcohol, you have to move to another planet.
You won't be considered a citizen scientist.
Not for long, no. Although, I mean, you can do some serious experiments with that kind of stuff, but apparently you need to live in a place where you are devoid of any life, depending on where you live. I mean, I get it. It's dangerous and things can explode and it burns with an invisible heat. That's the sitting directly on the surface of the sun. Sure. But if one place can do it, shouldn't every place do it? Apparently not. Anyway, in 2015, the person says that they were struggling to make enough samples for research projects that their colleague, Julia Parker, and themselves wanted to understand the formation of calcium carbonate, a compound found in natural materials and used in beer brewing. Anyway, ranging from chalk and pearl to the shells of eggs and mollusks. You can, that's like an ASMR word, mollusks.
Yeah, it is.
So pure calcium carbonate comes in 3 crystalline forms: calcite, vaterite, aragonite. In nature, amino acids and proteins determine which type is made, but it's unclear how. So they actually tried to do it and needed more samples, but it would have taken them 200 days to make 1,000 samples. So they actually reached out to a bunch of schools, 110 schools throughout the nation, advertising in the media, etc., asking for 10 samples per school. And we named the effort Project M after 1,000 in Roman numerals because you have to be academic. So this is pretty cool. They actually got it done, I suppose. So I kind of agree with this. Citizen scientists can actually do some great good. But I suspect that if you don't control this in some way, you're going to get people doing stupid
Kind of
things.
depends on what the experiments are and what the risk level is and how precise they have to be too.
Yeah, because this is one of those like attractive nuisance kind of things. If I sit there and I promote, hey, everybody do this for me, and somebody gets hurt, then I'm directly liable for the actions that they take, even if I have them sign a waiver or whatnot. You have to evaluate each person to see if they have the minimum skill set to waive that liability. Otherwise, you're the responsible party for it. And all it takes is a savvy attorney, and you personally are kind of screwed, and your institution is kind of screwed. Depends on just what the scope of the harm is. Now,
yeah, and you'd like to think teachers are going to have some degree of safety built in, and
yeah, exactly, and awareness of what the impact is possible. Now, just for clarity, I am not an attorney, and I'm not your attorney. And even if I was your attorney, I'm not your attorney, and I'm not an attorney. So go talk to an attorney if you're, fiddling around with this concept. Go and ask them. It's going to cost you a little bit. Anyway. So many Project M students told how proud that they were to be taking part in the real research project. Teachers were keen to reuse skills from their degrees, and their colleagues were excited about their unusual collaborators. I think it's great as long as they understand there's a limit to just what can be done with this kind of stuff.
I hope the science community, though, considers this for future efforts. I mean, again, depending on what it is.
Sure.
I think that's pretty cool. Plus, it's a good way to get interest in science.
Hands on, man. That is above and beyond the actual baseline education. Hands on internship kind of stuff.
Actually
application.
Making an impact, right? Because you can see, oh, I actually contributed to this study.
Yep. It's amazing. It's a lot of fun. Let's keep going. This next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Japan's intense trucker shortage may inspire a drastic solution: a giant conveyor belt between cities. This is Factorio, or Satisfactory, 2 different games, but this is pretty cool.
Do you think it's based on those games?
I don't know, but it's Japan, so maybe. Japan's Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport, and Tourism Board, or tourism, sorry. Let's just jump right on over to the article. So Michaela Friel over at BusinessInsider.com put the article together. Their takeaway is Japanese authorities want the conveyor belt road to run between Tokyo and Osaka. As well as tackling a trucker shortage, the road could reduce carbon emissions because it's basically going to just be transporting package after package nonstop. I think it's brilliant. Test runs are expected to begin in 2027, and it could be up and running by the mid-2030s. But it's got to be a contiguous, protected environment.
Exactly. I mean, it's not going to be cheap to build.
Somehow I doubt it's going to be clear. Yeah. You're not going to be able to keep this clear. It's going to have to be...
But you might not want it to be clear. Right?
Yeah.
Think about all the package thefts off of trains and everything right now.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. So a video made by the Japanese government shows how it might work. Autoflow Road will begin in 2027 or 2028. The aim is to have full operations by the mid-2030s. Yuri Endo, a senior deputy director overseeing the project at the Ministry of Land Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism, told AP that the project will allow for 24-hour automated and unmanned transportation system, but that's not going to happen on the ends. And people will have to be there because you're going to have to move the stuff.
Oh, right. You can't just let it pile up or something.
Yeah, it's just a conveyor.
You can't load it onto the conveyor.
It just dumps it into the ocean. A robot. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just going to keep dumping it right next to the water discharge from Fukushima. Yeah. They're going to Fukushima over there. Anyway, according to a recent Nomura Research Institute study cited by Kyoto News, Japan will have 36% fewer truck drivers than needed to meet the country's logistical demands in 2030. I've always wanted to live in Japan, so maybe I'll relocate.
Maybe you could be a truck driver there.
And they're in demand, so maybe I can get some serious scratch and be able to afford life in Japan. And I'll get the bonus if I live really close to the Fukushima power plant. I will grow an opposable tail and glow. So I won't even need a lantern. Let's move on. So the next article is over in Non-Sequitur News. Nintendo says that its Switch successor will be backward compatible with Switch games, but we've been told things before. Really recently, and as a matter of fact, but Nintendo hasn't announced its Switch successor yet, but we do know for sure it will be able to play current Switch games and have carryover for your Nintendo Switch Online services and account. The news will be announced during Nintendo's mid-year policy briefing with further information promised, quote unquote, later at a later date. The article is actually from Ash Parrish over at TheVerge.com. The deck statement says the company says that Nintendo Switch Online will make its way to the technically still unannounced console too.
Do you think this is the same Ash as from Pokemon?
I think I said that the last time that I mentioned their name.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And I think that we agreed that yes, it is. So Nintendo also talked about the numbers for the current Switch, noting that it sold 4.72 million units in the past 3 months, a drop of 31% compared to the same period last year, but well above the previous consoles 8 years after they launched. That adds up to... I was going to say
that's because everybody's already bought one that's using one.
I will never understand this type of comparison because it's going to be a declining number. At some point, you hit a peak and then it declines because you don't have people buying several of them. Oh, okay, wait, it's week 46 of the year. I'm going to have to go buy another one. And then next week.
Right, you might use one for several years.
No, you play a game, finish the game, and throw it all away. It's the Bic lighter of handhelds, right? You use up its fuel, the battery goes dead. It also noted that Switch Online subscribers dropped slightly from last year to about 34 million members. Oh, bummer. At the same time, the number of people opting for a pricier version of the expansion pack library of games continues to increase. Yeah, people just want more. I have an embargo on Nintendo. I don't really engage with anything Nintendo. I avoid them. But hey, I make my bias known, but I'm not trying to tell you to not go out and buy Nintendo and play your games. I mean, it's all fine with me. I like the idea though of every game being platform agnostic so that I can play my game wherever I want to play my game. And I think that exclusivity kind of stuff is part and parcel to the problem that we have right now, where people are able to kill a game because it's no longer a lucrative service to offer.
Right. I agree.
And since
I
everything
mean,
is
Nintendo
electronic,
has quite a following, but
sure.
I think it would be good if all the games were compatible across platforms and not just against Nintendo, other platforms as well.
And I think that they're kind of like the Oprah of console handhelds, because if you badmouth Nintendo, they slam your content because you're displaying their logo or something. Yeah, if you're a content creator, yeah, don't piss off Oprah. That I merged the two together, but anyway. Yeah. So the conversation about backward compatibility isn't just about player satisfaction, but also video game preservation. A report from the Video Game History Foundation found that over 87% of games released before 2010 are critically endangered or unavailable for purchase.
And we did talk about that in ohmTown.
Yeah, previously. And I did not read this article prior. It's just fascinating that a lot of these articles mention this kind of stuff. But it is illegal for you to make a copy of a game, even for your own personal use. You're not allowed to make a copy of it. It's actually an IP violation. And I'm going to be giving a talk this week about it. So not this week, next week. But yeah, I talk about intellectual property, and people are astonished. What is first sale doctrine?
Right.
Well, here in the States, it's different. Here in the States, it's different. In Europe, it's different. In other countries, it's different. Anyway. So yeah, Nintendo also directly contributed to increasing scarcity of older games by shutting down the Wii U, 3DS eShop last year. And everything that you buy, you're screwed. You're done. It's just it's a license to consume until they no longer find it viable for their investors. If it costs them too much, they just, hey, the beta is over, and off it goes. And then you go, well, I want a refund, and good luck. No, you consumed your fair value of it will be what the courts will ultimately say, because that's exactly what they said in Europe. A company should not and will not be bound to perpetually provide the software as a service environment for every piece of software. Well, then they should not be allowed to release software that has that built in.
Right, or make it in another format or platform.
Make it available. Yeah, if you're going to close it down, then make it available. But that's not what the European court said. So anyway, let's move on. So the next article is over in the continuity report. Warner Brothers fires back at Crichton Estate over claim that The Pit is an ER reboot, saying it's a completely different show. Now, we talked about this previously, but we hadn't heard from Warner Brothers about it. So Warner Brothers is seeking to throw out a lawsuit filed by the estate of Michael Crichton, which argued that the forthcoming Max series, The Pit, The Fighting Pit, is an unauthorized reboot of ER. Crichton was the creator of ER, having written the original pilot script based on his own experiences as a medical student. Well, Crichton has moved on, shuffled off this mortal coil, and Gene Medeiros over at Variety.com put the article together. And apparently, the widow, Sherry, sued in August, accusing John Wells, Noah Weil, and others of going behind her back to create The Pit, which she alleges is ER in all but its title. Well, here's the pisser about this. The concept can't be protected. The story, the writing, the embodiment can.
Right.
But hey, let's make a medical procedural, cannot be protected. So they're kind of shit out of luck with this.
I also wondered, did they go after other medical shows that existed after ER?
They went after
Why is
every single one. See?
this one? I think they went after because of the common actor.
I think so too. Yeah, Warner Brothers lawyers argue that Crichton's estate does not own the idea of setting a show in a hospital. The motion rattles off a list of other shows: St. Elsewhere, Grey's Anatomy, Chicago Med, House, The Good Doctor, The Resident, to argue that the idea is hardly unique. It may have been unique at the time, but there's nothing that can be protected in a setting except for things like the direct embodiment. If you have a clone of the set, then yeah.
Right, but I would also argue that at least one of these shows predated ER that's listed here. St. Elsewhere was older than ER. I don't know if any of the others were.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So the lawsuit identified several alleged similarities between the two shows, including that Weil stars in both of them. So, wow, a person who is typecast, perhaps, can't
Right,
ever.
they look like a doctor or whatever.
Yeah, 40 years later, they're not allowed, which is an impossible enforcement of any contract. It's not going to happen. So the suit also argued that Weil is effectively reprising his role as Dr. John Carter on ER under a different character name. Tough shit. Yeah, and the estate
right. The protections aren't on the characters either.
Yeah, in the estate, you might as well flip that. The estate is trading on the creative efforts of the one person that created the show initially and is living off of it in perpetuity. I mean, this is such a stretch. Now, do I begrudge Crichton's widow for this? No, it's an attempt to, reap the rewards of whatever, historical record has led to this particular situation. But I don't think that they're going to come out on top. And the worst of this is going to be, it's a PR nightmare for the pit and showrunners and whatever else. Because
although sometimes that's a good thing, right? Because then it gets people talking about it.
No press is bad press. That's right. So Wells then switched gears and created the pit because they were actually trying to talk, apparently. Crichton's widow alleged that Wells, a former ER showrunner, began trying to reboot the show for Max in 2020. She found out about it in 2022 when Wells called to give her a courtesy notice. She asserted that her husband's frozen rights to give consent to any ER reboot and talk shows or talks on how to properly credit him and compensate the estate ultimately broke down. But she said that it was a courtesy notice. Hey, we're rebooting.
But that was a specific reboot. So is that the same as the pit, or is this a separate effort?
And even if it is, it doesn't matter. Okay, well, we're not going to be able to trade off of the ER reboot. So we're going to nix all of it.
If they pivoted to another medical show, then that has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
But this really reminds me of the Her situation, because even if they went in a different direction, they've kind of poisoned it by starting off with the connected effort.
Right. So there's some tissue there that they used a scalpel and they cut it, called it the pit instead of the ER reboot, or the money pit, I guess would have been the original name.
Exactly.
Because it would have, like, money, a serious amount would probably have to go to the estate because they're trading on the ER reboot, brand, the reputation. So I don't know. I think that this is going to die like ER. It's just going to stop and flatline. The studio's lawyer cited several copyright cases for support, including two in which Crichton prevailed as the defendant involving films Coma and Jurassic Park. Sherry Crichton blasted Warner Brothers for filing the motion on the anniversary of her husband's death, calling it an emblematic of the studio's callousness and utter disregard for Crichton's legacy.
Okay, well, I find it fascinating that they cite cases that Crichton won defending against similar claims. They cited that to Crichton's estate. The death thing, did they know about that? Probably not. However, if anybody was aware of it, they could have filed it on a different day. Just did not even give it I mean, they had no obligation to do that. But
Yeah.
it was probably like the final nail at the spouse.
Wow. There's a lot of mortality that we're throwing around in this, and it's not really intentional. We haven't actually like have a concerted.
I stepped back my comment because I didn't want to get too far into the mortality issue.
Oh boy. So it says the defendant's last minute attempt to rebrand their ER Reboot as the Pit is not fooling anyone. The estate looks forward to presenting its case to a jury and is confident it will prevail. Yeah, as long as you don't think critically about intellectual property and you tug on the heartstrings, an idea cannot be protected regardless. And I'll give you an example of this because I've been through this. I pitched something to a developer and the developer said, "Great idea," and started to run with it. And the only way you can really stop that is to litigate. But I know again from experience, to litigate based on the idea of protecting the idea is a completely lost cause. You cannot protect the idea, only the embodiment. And I could go and talk to somebody else and say that I want to make something blue, and they have IP protection on the color blue, and I can go and make it green, and they have nothing to say about it. Nothing.
Exactly. By the way, I thought something funny here. The attorneys agreed to the deadline, which was the date of the death, and then she complained about it. So I just thought that was kind of entertaining.
Interesting. Yeah, so it's like loading the gun and being surprised when it fires. Yeah, that's just twisted. I talk about gaslighting. Oh, it was callous for you to agree that you brought up the time? Oh my God. Horrible all around. Anyway, in all honesty, I hope that they lose because, like I said, I've been around this block many a time where people are talking about ideas being protected and it's just not a reality. If they would have called it ER, then yeah.
Right, and have the same hospital name and just, I mean, but
Same
my
everything.
guess is different hospital, and it's pointed out in the article they had like different characters and different setting and all these differences.
The world
Essentially,
building is different. So your world for ER, fine. You know, if I call it St. Elsewhere, then I can't sit there. If I call the hospital St. Elsewhere, and then I can't sit there and use it in the pit because it's St. Elsewhere and it's too close to the show and it has this person in it. But no, that's not what it is. Anyway, let's move on. Our last article for today is over in Technology Today. Google accidentally leaked a preview of its Jarvis AI that can take over computers. We actually talked about this earlier in the last week of shows. Jarvis is real, Google's AI, because there was a rumor that there was a piece of software out there, that AI powered software from Google that had the ability to run your computer sans you. You literally just tell it what to do and it does it. So Jarvis is real. Google's AI prototype accidentally found its way to the public through a Chrome web store. This isn't just some AI helper that can tell you the weather or remind you about a doctor's appointment. The information, which is where it's sourced from originally, but we're talking by way of aggregating Engadget. Little snippet, just this. This is all that we get. And so we make our decision about the articles based on this little snippet, and then we select them.
or even the headline.
Or they're submitted. Yeah, or even the headline. And then our reaction is based on us clicking this live during the show. So we normally have experience with something like this. So I mess with AI all the time. I just don't talk about it in depth on the show. But at any rate, so the store page reported by The Information says that the Jarvis prototype is described as a useful companion that surfs the web for you through web browsers to take information or take care of common tasks such as buying groceries, booking a flight, research topics, etc. So in other words, Google's new AI has the ability to take control of a computer to complete simple tasks. When you click this link, you get sent here. The article is by Danny Gallagher over at Engadget.com. And it says the software was available for a brief time on the Chrome Web Store, and now it's gone because somebody paid attention.
Somebody probably panicked.
Yeah, they're like, hey, Google, can you remove this app before it's supposed to be there? Yeah. So I'm trying to remember the name of the other AI. I've highlighted it here. There's an AI that you can actually tell it and program it and then walk it through the steps to do something. And from that point on, it will always know how to do it. It'll book a flight, it'll send text, it'll invite somebody that's based off of just a name to take that flight and meet at a certain time. And here are the directions and all kinds of stuff. And I can't remember the name of it anymore. Maybe I can find it and throw it in the show notes, or at least talk about it in the next show, because
Yeah, I'm not sure which one it is.
Yeah, might be able to do the show early tomorrow, but I have mayoral duties tomorrow. Anyway, so Google took down the Jarvis store page by mid-afternoon ahead of its planned reveal in December. So, ta-da, it's almost exactly what I said. Hey, Jarvis, can you remove this app? Jarvis will have some competition from outfits like Anthropic and its Claude AI assistant that started its public beta phase last month. I've used Claude AI. Unless you pay a lot, considerable, it has this really weird, wonky thing, particularly if you're using it for coding or mining data, that it parses everything it's ever presented to you in that line of discussion.
Yeah, that seems really inefficient, but also probably building off of wrong information. Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Charging it.
Yeah, because it takes tokens for you to actually utilize it. And so it recontextualizes its new additional bit of information. And I finally figured out why the music, because I've changed things, some of the configuration, I finally figured out what it is that makes the music disappear and then come back. So thanks everybody for letting me put the show on. Finally figured out what's making the music stop from time to time. Anyway, Claude can take over your computer to type text, activate buttons, move the cursor, basically anything that you as a user can do, because it's running as you. So there you go.
This sounds like it's taking over everything.
That's AI for you. So we have some very interesting technological times coming. So, and we here in Non Sequitur News and ohmTown in general, we talk from the crossroads of science, technology, and society. I hope that my show will remain allowed, because Twitch is saying that even social issues and a lot of the stuff we talk about as a social issue now has to be flagged.
Everything's in those definitions.
Yeah, it's going to be, like I said, interesting times ahead, folks. So what I'm going to do is ask Jarvis to move my cursor over to the front page of ohmTown. Oh, look at that. It did it. Wow. Thank you, Jarvis. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad that I downloaded the app before.
Did it do it on its own though?
No, I'm Jarvis. Anyway, so I'm going to say bye, and so is the AI, and have a good night, everybody.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Non Sequitur News. Be back tomorrow for another episode.
Bye-bye. Hey, Jarvis, can you turn off the YouTube stream? Hey, Jarvis, can you turn off the Twitch stream? Wait, Jarvis. No, don't turn it back on. Oh, fine, I'll do it.